transforming bracket!
What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is of course my review for the 2022 disaster movie Moonfall. So Moonfall is directed by Roland Emmerich, the same director that 10,000 BC, 2012, The Day After Tomorrow, The Patriot, and a slew of other movies. This is also a movie that I fortunately was able to actually watch early. I'm filming this video on January 26th of 2022. This movie technically comes out February 4th. So fortunately enough, at my local AMC, it's a AMC investor screening. I got the notification that this movie was coming out early near me for a one-time screening in IMAX, and I said to myself, I have no clue what Moonfall is. I really don't, but it's directed by Roland Emmerich and it stars Patrick Wilson. So let me check this out. And one of the things I always preface on this channel is that what I like about early screenings when I do get the opportunity to see them is that it's nice when you don't have any preface on, hey, is this movie good or is this movie bad? Because a lot of times if you go into a movie, obviously there's going to be some inclination of, oh, I heard this movie's bad, or oh, I heard this movie's good. But when you have it where you have no clue if this movie's good or bad in terms of what the general public and the critics think, it's honestly refreshing because it's a clean slate, so to speak. So what did I think about this movie personally? I thought this movie, I don't want to say it's disappointing because I had no clue what this movie was about going into. But what I will say is that I still thought it was kind of disappointing even then because I did grow up watching Roland Emmerich movies like the ones I mentioned. And I always found him as a young teenager to be quite entertaining. But I look back now and I see that a lot of his movies are quite cliched, have not the best dialogue, have pretty good visual effects in some categories, but then other cases not so much. And I have to say, like, if you like his previous movies, I think you'll like this movie. But if you don't like his movies, then this movie's going to cross off all the boxes on why you don't like him as a filmmaker. Because, as I mentioned, the dialogue is not that good. The acting is, it's okay, I suppose. But it follows a lot of cliches of the genre. And I mean, like, a lot. You have a dad that obviously isn't there for his kid. Check. Divorced parents. Check. A lot of times people trying to outrun like storms or, debris and everything. Check. The military, trying to obviously go all gung-ho. Check. I mean, everything about this, a sacrifice. Check. It's like all of the cliches of a Roland Emmerich movie mixed with all the cliches of like a Michael Bay movie, like Armageddon, so to speak. Armageddon, this movie definitely got vibes from, for me personally. Like, I was watching, I said to myself, this is like a modern day Armageddon. And Armageddon obviously has a pretty big following in terms of audience members. So that's why I'm going to say this. I don't know if audiences are going to like this movie. I think they might, because again, they might watch this movie and like it for the same reasons why they like Armageddon, where it's like, okay, it's a spectacle. And it's like, it's a huge cast of like, all these characters and everything. But the problem is, because there's so many characters, all these characters feel very one-dimensional and one-note. And when you have a good cast, the way that this movie does, it makes it feel like all the less of an opportunity. It's like, why do you have such a great cast if you're just going to have them where it's just one-note performances? And it's a shame, honestly, like not only just with the writing, but also the directing of Emmerich. Other thing I wanted to mention is, I mentioned this kind of earlier, but the visual effects in some categories are pretty good, but then other instances, it's quite dodgy. Sometimes it doesn't really fully blend with the, obviously the practical effects that are utilized. Obviously, it's mostly digital effects, but there are a lot of times I just feel like the two weren't encompassed really well, unfortunately. But that's just me personally. I do think the score is passable for sure, and this movie is very fast-paced, which I think definitely helps in terms of not really thinking about the movie, because once you start to actually think about the movie, you realize that this movie is essentially like, honestly, like a Fast and Furious movie in terms of like the logic and the storytelling method. And again, it's going to vary between viewer to viewer on if they're going to like this movie. I personally would advise that if you don't really like disaster movies, especially ones directed by Roland Emmerich, this won't convert you in any way. This is definitely a movie that's for those individuals that like his type of movies. But again, if you don't like his cringy dialogue, if you don't like the mindless action, the one-dimensional characters, the humor that oftentimes attempted but doesn't work, bloated length, all those things are here full force. So if you don't like those things, I would probably say avoid this movie at all costs. But for Emmerich fans, I'd say give this movie a shot. But for me personally, I'm not going to lie, Moonfall, I'm going to give a 2 out of 5 star rating. So yeah, no hot sauce rating. And honestly, Moonfall, I'm going to forget about this tomorrow. I just know it. It's not a movie that I can in good conscience recommend other than to the Emmerich fans. So that being said, guys, Moonfall, did you see it? Let me know your thoughts if you liked it or not. As always, again, don't forget the subscription, notification bell, follow me on Letterboxd, and I will catch you guys later.